Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's mind-bending topic, I need you to do something for me. Take everything you think you know about being supportive in relationships and toss it out the window. Because what I'm about to share with you might just turn your entire worldview upside down. Trust me. You don't want to miss a single second of this video. We're about to uncover the hidden truth about being supportive that no one's talking about. So, grab your favorite snack, get comfortable, and stick around. By the end of this video, you'll never look at support in relationships the same way again. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, let's get real for a second. We've all heard it before, right? Be supportive of your partner. Stand by your friends no matter what. Well, what if I told you that all this support nonsense might actually be ruining your relationships? That's right, folks. Today, we're diving deep into the cost of being too supportive in relationships. Buckle up, because this is going to be one wild ride. On the enabler's dilemma, when support becomes destructive. Let's kick things off with a bang. You know what's great about being super supportive all the time? Absolutely nothing. Why? Because it turns you into an enabler faster than you can say, "I'm just trying to help." The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Well, guess what? When you're too busy being supportive, you're not reacting at all. You're just going along with whatever your partner or friend wants, even if it's terrible for them. Your buddy wants to quit his job to pursue his dream of becoming a professional finger painter. Sure, you support that. Your partner wants to blow your life savings on a get-rich-quick scheme. Hey, you're supportive, right? Before you know it, you're living in a cardboard box, surrounded by terrible finger paintings, wondering where it all went wrong. Here's the cold, hard truth sometimes. The most supportive thing you can do is to not be supportive at all. Shocking, I know. But think about it. If you're always there to catch someone when they fall, how will they ever learn to stand on their own 2 feet? The Roman Stoic Seneca put it perfectly when he said, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." By being overly supportive, you might just be convincing your loved ones that they're incapable of handling life's challenges on their own. And that, my friends, is a recipe for unhappiness. 2. The self-sacrifice trap. Losing yourself in support. Now, let's talk about something that hits close to home for many of us. The self-sacrifice trap. You know, that thing where you're so busy being supportive of everyone else that you forget you exist too? Here's a fun fact for you. You can't pour from an empty cup. Mind-blowing, right? But when you're always putting everyone else's needs before your own, guess what happens? That's right. You end up drained, resentful, and probably with a therapist's number on speed dial. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But when you're too supportive, you give away that power. You become so focused on outside events, your partner's mood, your friend's problems, that you lose control over your own mind." Let me paint you a picture. You're so supportive of your partner's career that you put your own on hold. You're always there for your friends, but they're mysteriously busy when you need them. Before you know it, you're a supporting character in your own life story. And let me tell you, that's not a bestseller anyone wants to read. Remember, folks, self-care isn't selfish. It's necessary. Sometimes the most supportive thing you can do for others is to take care of yourself first. Otherwise, you're just the blind leading the blind. Right off a cliff. 3. The authenticity paradox. When support means lying. All right, let's dive into something really juicy. The authenticity paradox. You know, that awkward moment when being supportive means being dishonest? Yeah, that's a real thing. And it's probably messing up your relationships as we speak. Here's the deal. When you're always trying to be supportive, you often end up sugarcoating the truth, or worse, outright lying. Your friend asks if their new haircut looks good. Of course you say yes, even if they look like they lost a fight with a lawnmower. Your partner asks if you support their decision to drop everything and join a traveling circus. Sure, why not? Who doesn't want to be married to a clown? But here's where it gets tricky. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But when you're always being supportive, you're not really listening. You're just waiting for your turn to say, "That's great," or "You can do it." And let's be real for a second. Is that really support? Or is it just a convenient way to avoid difficult conversations? Because let me tell you, true support sometimes means telling hard truths. It means being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. Imagine this. Your partner is about to make a huge mistake. We're talking life-altering, potentially disastrous decision here. But you, in your infinite supportiveness, just smile and nod. Fast forward a few months and everything's fallen apart. Your partner turns to you and asks, "Why didn't you say anything?" Awkward. Remember, folks, honesty and support aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, they often go hand in hand. As Marcus Aurelius put it, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Sometimes the most supportive thing you can do is to tell the truth, even if it's not what someone wants to hear. 4. The dependency dilemma, creating emotional crutches. Now let's talk about something that's probably hitting a little too close to home for some of you, the dependency dilemma. You know that thing where your constant support turns into someone else's emotional crutch? Yeah, it's not pretty. Here's a harsh truth for you. Being too supportive can actually make people weaker. I know, it sounds counterintuitive. But think about it. If you're always there to solve everyone's problems, how will they ever learn to solve problems on their own? The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." Well, when you're always swooping in to save the day, you're basically convincing your loved ones that they can't handle life without you. And let me tell you, that's a one-way ticket to Unhappyville. Population, everyone you care about. Picture this. Your friend calls you every time they have a minor crisis. We're talking I can't decide what to wear level problems here. And you, being the supportive friend you are, drop everything to help. Fast forward a few years, and suddenly, your friend can't make a single decision without your input. Congratulations, you've created an emotional dependent. But here's the kicker. This doesn't just hurt them. It hurts you too, because now you're responsible for not just your own life, but someone else's as well. Talk about a heavy burden to bear. Epictetus had some wisdom for us here too. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. But when you're too supportive, you're teaching people to grieve for the support they don't have, rather than rejoicing in their own abilities. Remember, folks, true support means empowering others to stand on their own 2 feet, not carrying them on your back. 5. The boundary blur, when support becomes intrusion. All right, let's dive into something that's probably making some of you squirm in your seats, the boundary blur. You know that awkward moment when your well-intentioned support starts feeling more like an invasion? Yeah, it's a thing, and it's probably causing more drama in your relationships than a reality TV show. Here's the deal. When you're always trying to be supportive, it's easy to forget that people actually need space sometimes. You're so busy trying to help that you don't realize you're actually suffocating them. It's like trying to help a plant grow by watering it 24/7. Spoiler alert, you're gonna drown it. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But when you're too supportive, you're trying to have power over outside events, namely, other people's lives. And let me tell you, that's a recipe for disaster. Imagine this. Your partner has a big presentation coming up. You, being the supportive superstar you are, decide to help. You rewrite their speech, pick out their clothes, and even offer to drive them to work. Sweet, right? Wrong. You've just crossed the line from supportive to controlling faster than you can say boundaries. But here's where it gets really messy. The more you overstep, the more your loved ones will start to resent you. They'll feel smothered, controlled, maybe even a little infantilized. And trust me, nothing kills a relationship faster than resentment. Epictetus had some wisdom for us here. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. In relationships, this means respecting what you have a connection with another person without trying to control what you don't have their entire life. Remember, folks, good fences make good neighbors, and good boundaries make good relationships. Sometimes, the most supportive thing you can do is to step back and let people handle things on their own. 6. The martyr complex. When support becomes a power play. Now let's talk about something that's going to ruffle some feathers, the martyr complex. You know that thing where your selfless support is actually a sneaky way to gain power and control? Yeah, it's not pretty, but we need to talk about it. Here's a truth bomb for you. Sometimes, being overly supportive isn't about helping others at all. It's about making yourself feel important, needed, maybe even a little superior. Ouch, right? But stay with me here. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And when you're playing the martyr, you're imagining yourself as this selfless hero, sacrificing everything for others. But in reality, you might just be manipulating people to depend on you. Picture this. You're always there for your friends, no matter what. You drop everything to help them, you listen to their problems for hours, you even lend them money when they need it. Sounds great, right? But here's the catch. Deep down, you're keeping score. You're waiting for the moment when you can cash in all those good deeds for attention, praise, or control. And let me tell you, that's not support. That's emotional blackmail. But here's where it gets really messy. The more you play the martyr, the more you'll start to resent the very people you're supposedly supporting. You'll feel unappreciated, taken for granted. And that resentment? It's like poison in your relationships. Marcus Aurelius had some wisdom for us here. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In relationships, this means supporting others without expecting anything in return. It means being kind because it's the right thing to do, not because you want to be seen as a hero. Remember, folks, true support is given freely, without strings attached. If you're keeping score, you're not being supportive, you're playing a game. And in that game, everyone loses. 7. The emotional burnout, when support drains your soul. All right, let's dive into something that's probably hitting home for a lot of you, emotional burnout. You know that feeling when you've been so supportive for so long that you're running on fumes? Yeah, it's real, and it's probably sucking the life out of you as we speak. Here's the cold, hard truth. Being constantly supportive is exhausting. It's like trying to be a human charging station for everyone in your life. And guess what? Even the best batteries run out of juice eventually. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." But when you're emotionally burnt out from being too supportive, you can't rejoice in anything. You're too tired, too drained, too empty. Imagine this. You're always there for everyone. Your partner needs a shoulder to cry on, you're there. Your friend needs advice at 3 a.m., you pick up the phone. Your coworker needs help with a project, you stay late at the office. But who's there for you when you need support? Crickets. And here's where it gets really ugly. The more burnt out you get, the less effective your support becomes. You start going through the motions, saying the right words but not really meaning them. You become a support zombie, and let me tell you, no one wants that kind of support. Marcus Aurelius had some wisdom for us here. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But when you're emotionally burnt out, you lose that power. You become reactive instead of proactive, a puppet of other people's needs instead of the master of your own mind. Remember, folks, you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Sometimes, the most supportive thing you can do is to recharge your own batteries. Because a burnt-out supporter is about as useful as a smartphone with a dead battery. 8. The growth stunter, when support hinders personal development. Now, let's talk about something that might make you uncomfortable. How being too supportive can actually stunt someone's growth. Yeah, you heard that right. Your well-intentioned support might be the very thing holding your loved ones back. Here's a mind bender for you. Sometimes, the most supportive thing you can do is nothing. Shocking, I know, but hear me out. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." But when you're always jumping in to support someone, you're robbing them of those difficult experiences that could strengthen their mind. Picture this. Your friend is struggling with a tough project at work. You, being the supportive friend you are, offer to help. You stay up late, crunch the numbers, maybe even write a few sections of the report. Your friend is grateful. The project is a success, and everyone's happy, right? Wrong. What you've actually done is deprive your friend of a growth opportunity. They didn't get to struggle through the problem, didn't get to feel the satisfaction of figuring it out on their own. And worst of all, they didn't get to build the confidence that comes from overcoming a challenge. But here's where it gets really tricky. The more you swoop in to save the day, the more your loved ones will doubt their own abilities. They'll start to think, I can't handle this without help. And before you know it, you've created a self-fulfilling prophecy of dependence. Epictetus had some wisdom for us here. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. But when you're too supportive, you're not letting people react at all. You're reacting for them, and in doing so, stunting their emotional and personal growth. Remember, folks, sometimes the most supportive thing you can do is to let people struggle. It might be hard to watch, but it's through those struggles that we grow, learn, and become stronger. 9. The relationship imbalance. When support creates inequality, realize this, and you will find strength. But when you're always the supporter, you're giving away that power. You become defined by your role as the helper, the fixer, the emotional crutch. Imagine this. You're always there for your partner, supporting them through every crisis, big or small. You listen to their problems, offer advice, even sacrifice your own needs to meet theirs. Sounds noble, right? But here's the catch. Over time, your partner starts to see you less as an equal and more as a personal cheerleader or therapist. And let me tell you, that's not a recipe for a healthy relationship. It's a recipe for resentment, burnout, and a whole lot of Netflix documentaries about toxic relationships. But here's where it gets really messy. The more you play the supporter role, the harder it becomes to ask for support yourself. You've set up this dynamic where you're the strong one, the reliable one, and suddenly showing vulnerability feels like breaking character. Epictetus had some wisdom for us here. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. In relationships, this means valuing the give and take, the mutual support that makes partnerships thrive. Remember, folks, a healthy relationship is like a good dance. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow, but you're always moving together. If you're always the one supporting, you're not dancing, you're just carrying dead weight. 10. The authenticity crisis. When support masks true feelings. Now, let's talk about something that's probably making some of you squirm in your seats. The authenticity crisis. You know that moment when you realize your supportive facade is hiding your true feelings? Yeah. It's about as comfortable as wearing a mask made of sandpaper. Here's the cold, hard truth. Being constantly supportive can turn you into a world-class actor, and not in a good Oscar-winning way. More in a, I'm smiling on the outside but dying on the inside kind of way. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality, but when you're always putting on a supportive front, you're creating a whole imaginary world where everything's fine and dandy. Meanwhile, in reality, you might be frustrated, angry, or just plain exhausted." Picture this. Your friend makes yet another questionable life decision. You know, the kind that makes you want to grab them by the shoulders and yell, "What are you thinking?" But instead, you plaster on a smile and say, "I support you no matter what." Congratulations, you've just taken another step away from your authentic self. And here's where it gets really tricky. The more you hide your true feelings behind a mask of support, the harder it becomes to recognize your own needs and emotions. You become so focused on being there for others that you lose touch with yourself. Marcus Aurelius had some wisdom for us here. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. In relationships, this means being true to yourself. even when it's not the supportive thing to do. Remember, folks, true support doesn't mean sacrificing your authenticity. It means being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. Because at the end of the day, a real relationship can handle the truth. A fake one? Not so much. All right. We've been on quite a journey, haven't we? We've uncovered the hidden costs of being too supportive, from enabling bad behavior to losing ourselves in the process. But don't worry, I'm not here to tell you to stop being supportive altogether. That would be like telling you to stop breathing because air pollution exists. Instead, I want you to think about support like a spice in cooking. A little bit enhances the flavor, but too much ruins the dish. The key is finding the right balance. Remember what the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. In relationships, this means valuing the support you can genuinely offer without trying to be everything to everyone. So, here's your challenge. Be supportive, but be authentic. Be there for others, but don't lose yourself in the process. Set boundaries, practice self-care, and remember that sometimes the most supportive thing you can do is to let others face their own challenges. Because at the end of the day, true support isn't about solving everyone's problems or always being the strong one. It's about standing beside someone as they face life's challenges, not carrying them through it. So go forth, be supportive, but do it wisely. Your relationships and your sanity will thank you for it. And hey, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because supporting this channel, that's the kind of support that won't ruin your relationships or turn you into an emotional pretzel. Until next time, stay balanced, stay authentic. And remember, sometimes the best support is letting someone support themselves.